All right. Can't see the chat though. Hello, everybody. We're just going to give everyone a minute to come in before we get started. So weird when I show the thing, now I can't see the attendee information. So we're just waiting on one more participant to show up, everyone. So just sit tight. Where is everybody joining from today? Toronto, nice. Chicago. Ooh, Seattle. I used to live in Seattle. It's my favorite.
Good mix.
Yeah, surprise, lots of different areas.
Wow, yeah, lots of people from all over. So we're just waiting for one of our panelists to show up. We think he got the wrong URL to join. So hopefully he will be joining us shortly. Yes, this will be recorded, Stan. It's being recorded right now, and we will send the recording to everyone afterwards. So no worries there. You can go to your meeting. Oh, wow, Brazil. That's far. All right. Okay, well, let's go ahead and we'll just get through some of the housekeeping, and then hopefully Travis will be here to join us soon. Um, yes. Okay, so thank you for joining us today. So this session is going to be a panel with three. Yes, three. Welcome, Travis. Sorry about the link confusion. All
All
right.
excited to be here, guys.
Yes, excited to have you. Okay, as I was saying, this will be a panel with three social media marketers on how they use AI day to day. I really wanted to do this webinar because I'm not a social media marketer, but I am a content marketer. And I find that in our profession, there is a lot of pressure and a lot of incentive to use AI, but not a lot of consensus on the best or most practical way to do that. So I'm hoping we can sort of talk about what's working and what's not working, and hopefully find some solutions that work for people. So just to set the tone, this is a practitioner conversation, not a polished presentation. Okay, so first, a couple housekeeping notes. Your videos are off, so you can go ahead and relax. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the question box, and we will have time at the end to ask some questions. And as I mentioned before, we are recording this, and you will get a recording afterwards. So no worries on that. Okay, so first, just a quick rundown on what we're going to cover. We're going to talk a bit about what is working with AI and social media, and then what isn't. We'll also look briefly at Rebrandly's AI features and how they can make your social workflow easier. Just quickly about Rebrandly. Rebrandly is a link intelligence platform. So we let you shorten and brand your links, which builds trust and increase click-through rates by up to 39%. We also provide AI-enhanced link suggestions, comprehensive analytics, and lots of really helpful features like being able to edit your link destination after you publish it in case you send people to the wrong place, or destination routing. So you can send out one link and people in different parts of the world can be diverted to different sites. So a lot of cool things. So we'll walk through our AI features, and then we will do a Q&A. So let's meet our panelists. First, actually, let me introduce myself because I skipped over that. So I'm Stephanie Yoder. I'm the Director of Content here at Rebrandly, and I'm going to be moderating this session. So we have some really great panelists today. First up, we have Lindsay Ashcraft. She's a freelance social media strategist, and she previously worked at Later and for Apollo.io. Some of her current clients include Rula and Rebrandly. So she's the genius behind all of our fun memes. Next up, we have Travis Tyler. So Travis has worked in marketing at PowerCord and PandaDoc, and he's currently doing very creative social media for AirOps. So AirOps is an AI content engineering platform that helps brands create and scale content for AI search. And then last up, we have Christine Calling. She previously worked at Hootsuite and at Later with Lindsay, and she's now the head of social and video at Durable. And Durable is an AI business platform for businesses and entrepreneurs with tools for website building, CRM, invoicing, and marketing. So we have a pretty stacked bench today. And I want to do an opening question just to warm things up. So just in one sentence, could I have each of you talk about where does AI show up most in your day-to-day work right now? And let's start with Lindsay.
Did you say one sentence?
I mean, how about one paragraph?
No pressure. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna say it shows up most in community management. I'll say that.
Nice. I like that. Travis.
I would say it shows up most for me in debriefing and analytics.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Okay, Christine.
Okay, I like all these different angles. For me, it would be copy iteration.
Okay, this is really exciting because you all said three very different things. So excited to see how that plays out. So let's talk a bit about where AI is helping in our process. So let me start by asking, what AI tools have you added to your workflow in the last year, and what made you stick with them? I know we've all probably tried a bunch of different tools over the past year. So what are your keepers? Um, let's start with Christine this time.
Sure, yeah. I feel like everyone's quite familiar with Claude, but it's a tool that our entire company has really embraced over the past few months. So, our entire marketing team is in it, and we've fed everything about our business into Claude. So, like, it knows our manifesto, our copywriting guidelines, brand voice, and so that's all in there, and it's really helped me especially when I am writing copy for social or creating briefs for influencers and creators because it has all that information already and I'm not starting from scratch every single time. And then another tool that I see, like we're someone mentioned image generation and for their tool set. And our designer here at Durable actually created an internal studio tool after I had been requesting a lot of different paid ad assets, and they all looked quite similar, but I was always going to him just for requests like small copy changes or like image switch ups. So he actually created a studio tool that integrates with some of the top image and video generators like Kling 3.0 and Nano Banana. And I've been using that for creating static paid assets and also video, which has been very helpful. But I know it's not helpful in the sense where it's an internal tool for us right now. We're hoping to roll out something more to our audience soon in Durable. But I know there's also other tools out there. So those are like the two main ones. And then not to stretch things out too much, but I'm always keeping an eye out on what other competitors and brands are using for AI in their tool sets. So a really fun one popped up the other week called HeyParker.ai. And I've specifically been testing it out for our paid ad copywriting. So just like really some short headlines, ad scripts, and I think like it's really important to keep a close eye on like what people are talking about on LinkedIn and X and testing out these new AI tools because there's so many popping up on a regular basis.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we are big Claude users here at Rebrandly as well. Travis?
Yeah, so I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction with where AI is helping me. I actually have found that I am very much a type B, disorganized and chaotic social media manager. Painfully so over the last few years. I am through and through just like a creative. And so staying organized, remembering to do tasks, especially the older I get, now a 35-year-old dad, things that I hope to remember just don't stick in my brain anymore. So I found some AI tools to just help me with the planning, organization, and scheduling. So first up is going to be granola, using granola through my meetings and being able to chat to remember conversations or key points from conversations. Uh, as a somebody especially who's like ramping up in a new role, I'm having like dozens of meetings each week, and I don't remember so much of what happens. Um, and then yeah, just granola, the note-taking tool has just been super useful for me. I use it on my desktop. And then I also have it integrated with Claude, so I can like chat with conversations via their connector there too. Um, the second tool that has helped me stay more organized is going to be Whisper Flow. You can talk a lot faster than you type usually, believe it or not. And a lot of the times I want to articulate a lot of context and input that I'm giving Claude or whatever tool I'm working with. And it takes me a long time to like think it through and type it, but I'm a think as I speak kind of person. So using Whisperflow to dictate from my desktop into whatever chat box I'm talking to, Claude or wherever, has been immensely helpful for like articulating myself in a way that like I just don't do as well with keystrokes. And then my third tool is Claude Cowork. This was a huge unlock for me. I was in a situation where we launch and ship new features weekly, and part of my role is to, develop different captions and posts for multiple people inside of the org, our entire executive staff, as well as all of our brand pages. So I'm like trying to come up with, nine different, posts that sound like that person's voice. So building out Claude skills based off of, those people and their writing styles, and then giving co-work like a bunch of tasks to do, and I have the tasks like saved. So every time we have a launch, I'm able to just be like, feel like I'm Robert Downey Jr. and just be like, okay, daddy's home, like wake up, Jarvis, and I can just like set co-work to go do what I need it to do for this launch while I go make coffee, take care of my toddler, and do whatever I need to. So Granola, Whisperflow, and Claude Cowork are game changers for me.
I love that. What about you, Lindsay?
Yeah, you guys definitely touched on like the main ones. Same, like I use granola for meetings. It's been such a game changer just to have that afterwards. And then Claude, of course, like I think everyone collectively, it seems like, has been switching from ChatGPT over to Claude, I feel like. So same in that regards. But like I'd say maybe the other couple ones that I have been leaning on a bit more that like weren't mentioned already. I use Sprout Social a lot, and a lot of their AI integrated features have been really great and especially time saving for like reporting or just tracking like sentiment analysis of audience. That has been really huge just to not have to, I think, as a social media manager, constantly be scrolling and checking like, okay, what is the sentiment right now? Like, what are people saying? So I think that's been really helpful. And then also just using Rebrandly for links instead of a Google Sheet has been a game changer as well.
I didn't tell her to say that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's just helpful.
Glad to hear that. So, at the beginning, I asked you what tasks or like where you use AI the most. So, I'd like to dive a little deeper into where AI is saving you time, if you feel AI is saving you time. Like, what tasks are you using AI for that are giving you time back? Lindsay, you unmuted first, I think. So, let's deal with you.
Yeah, I would say I particularly find that a lot of my admin work, like I think I'm the same, I'm a creative first, and a lot of the admin work that used to take me a long time, such as like an executive, maybe like a new executive comes in and they are like, what's been going on with this program that's been running for like a year? It is so helpful to be able to be like, okay, here's like a bunch of data like make it into a one sheet that an executive can understand. And that used to take me like hours. And so now it's not disruptive to the flow of my work. And I feel like I get time back because I use it for those like data-based or admin or like organizational tasks. And then so I'm able to do the things that I enjoy a bit more, which is like that copywriting or the creative ideation or brainstorming or anything like that. I think that's usually where I found it particularly helpful.
Nice. Travis, I think you also mentioned analytics and reporting in your first answer.
Yeah, so I've been, man, I feel like I need to talk with somebody that's way smarter than me about this, but we had a conversation internally here at AirOps where the same question was posed, which is like, how much time are you saving, per week or whatever using AI tools? And there was like a common sentiment in the responses to that, which was like, I don't know if I would define it as saving time as just doing more, being more productive in the amount of time I have. And I don't know if that's different, but in my brain it feels different. So I'll just say that and stick with that like talk track, which is like I feel like what I'm able to get done in the 40 hours, allegedly that I'm working, um, usually more. I'm getting done way more than like I used to. Like I think back to my days when I worked at PandaDoc in like 2019, and I was in office trying my darndest to like write a HubSpot co-marketing ebook with PandaDoc on like after interviewing, sales reps on the best tactics for call openers or things like that. And I'd have to sit there for so long and like think like a lot. And now I'm just able to like get at least like a starting place. I think I spend more time on editing now than like anything. So for example, I'll go back to like when we have a launch, we launch a new, feature and I've been corrected by like our CEO on things that I just know he looks for. So I'll go, even though I've trained Claude, I don't want every launch post to sound exactly the same. So trying to add some nuance, trying to use words I hear him say in conversation that, you know, Claude didn't think to use. So yeah, I try to allocate my time differently, and it ends up usually being more on like the editing side, or like doing a better job of reporting. So I know Stephanie, I had mentioned before the webinar that I was down to
Yeah.
screen share some stuff. I don't know if now's still a good time to do that.
Yeah, take it over, Trevor.
Okay. Um, so basically, I'm gonna show off my Claude instance. And I hope I don't have anything too embarrassing in my previous chats. I'll move them so you can't see them. That there we go. Okay. So I was working on, I've only been at AirOps, since like the end of January. And so I was like, hey, Claude, like, can you help me put together a deck to report on our social media performance? Um, and we have a awesome, head of brand here, Jess Rosenberg, who has built a Claude skill with all of our branding, all of our colors, our fonts, all of our rules, all of our everything, iconography, typography, everything, so that anytime I ask Claude to create something, it is on brand, or at least close, a lot closer than I would get it. Um, and so I downloaded a couple of files. We use Ordinal here for our social media scheduling and analysis, but I also have some data from another tool called Planable. And then I was also just extracting it directly from LinkedIn and logging in as my founders. There were some discrepancies between the tools. And anyway, I just wanted to show you that, again, I started this like chat with Claude at like 6:30 this morning because I had an early meeting, but like I needed to go change a diaper. And so I set it to go do this, and it just like whipped this beautiful like presentation up, and I had to come in and tell it to build like this specific slide. But just like going over our founders and showing the growth of like their followership, how what their top performing posts were, and then talking like through my strategy and stuff. And so I was able to present this. This would have taken me a week to put together. Claude did it in like an hour and a half of me going back and forth with it. So just thought I'd show that as an example of like doing more in less time, so that then, but I still end up working 40 hours. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, I'll shut up.
I love that. I lost my screen share. All right. Well, that leads me to a follow-up question along the same lines, which is, you know, has AI changed how much content that you're able to produce on a weekly basis? And let's go with Christine because she hasn't gotten to talk in a minute.
No, that was like I'm feeling inspired, Travis. That was awesome. I'm like I need to do my quarterly reporting. I am 100% using Claude. So thanks for sharing that. In terms of yeah, how much content I can produce, I feel very similar sentiment where it's like now that we can do so much more with the help of AI, there's almost that expectation amongst like leadership and other teams where it's like it's easy, like things are so easy now, why aren't you doing more? So I think it's almost like there's a struggle to have those conversations and like pull back like okay, maybe things don't need to be so focused on quantity all the time and leaning more towards like the quality piece. How can AI like how can we still move really fast but also focus on producing really high quality content that we're proud to put out there, and it's not like I hate the term but like AI slop. For me, a good example would be last year we were running a social series called where we broke down unique business ideas. And I leaned very heavily on AI for this series because we were highlighting 3 to 4 businesses a week. And I got to a flow where I was using a really strongly structured script that was working on social and we were getting views, but I was also using 11 Labs to use as the voiceover for this content. And then we would work with the businesses to use their B-roll. So it was a really fast process that I got into where I didn't need to be the voice. I just used AI and we were using the B-roll content. So I think that really helped solve like a production lift that I might not have had the assistance with in the past. So didn't need on-camera talent. Really, the concept was already there, and I didn't need as many resources as I needed before. So things like that. I'm always trying to figure out ways we can use AI a little bit more in social, and that was a really helpful use case.
Nice. What about you, Lindsay and Travis? Have you felt like you've been able to increase your creative output as a result of AI? Travis?
Um, I feel like I might go with the controversial answer here. No, I don't feel that AI has made me more creative. Um, and in fact, sometimes I feel like I use it and rely on it so much that like when it comes down to like putting something together, I'll give you an example. Super cringe. I'm working on a little skit where I dress up like a 2005 emo with like painted black nails, and I'm gonna be doing a rendition of Secondhand Serenade's "Fall for You." And I was trying to rewrite the lyrics, and I don't know if you've ever tried to do something this silly or this stupid. Claude's not good at it. Like they just struggle with that kind of like task. It's better if I just do it. And so. Yeah, like it's almost like I have to like kind of like blow the dust off my like creative brain when it comes to like truly making something from scratch that is really going to stand out on socials. And the other anecdote I have too was I had this idea to do like 30 days of becoming a content engineer when I joined AirOps. AirOps is all about AI search and getting found on LLMs. And as a content marketer, I just didn't know much about AEO, GEO, and frankly didn't know much about SEO. So I was like, well, let me do this like fun kind of like candid series where I'm just like talking to the camera and I take a course. I take a course that's taught by AirOps employees to teach people about this exact topic, and then I'll kind of do like day in the life or like, day one of learning, whatever. I didn't use Claude for like any of the scripting. If anything, the only AI tool I used was Granola because it would like record the session. But even still, like I had to remember what like stood out to me most and speak from the heart. And a lot of the times I was just doing takes as if I was talking to a friend or my wife about like this topic so that it made sense and it sounded like my voice. I would say that's where AI just is. I don't know if it'll ever be there, but it just doesn't help me creatively in that kind of raw aspect.
Yeah. Lindsay, thoughts?
Yeah, I very much relate to that. I think especially, I think it varies by platform. Like, say, LinkedIn content, I can lean on it a lot more heavy, but for video content, which is a huge part of my role, I do have that same sentiment where I don't think it's funny at all. Like, if you've ever tried with a tool to have it understand like a concept that's humorous, it is just a huge waste of time. And so I find that like I still just have to lean on like my old strategy. And so I don't really feel like it's helping me pump out more content in terms of like especially video or I mean, I tested this the other day, even just with a line of copy and trying to find something that was a little bit more like current relevant, and it spit out the line, but first coffee as like the opening line of a post. And I thought, oh wow, like I better just not do this and just use my brain. So I think there's definitely still just so many limitations in terms of like putting out more content because you still need to just be that social media manager who's like scrolling and like taking things in and also just like sitting and using your brain still, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I feel like particularly with social media, to actually get any traction, you do need that sort of element of originality, which is hard to create with AI. What is your all's opinion on AI slop in social media, and where do you see things going? Do you think I have a theory that brands are gonna there'll be two paths sort of. There will be people who will just kind of embrace the slop because it's quicker and it's cheaper and easier. But then I think the brands that are really going to stand out are going to be the ones who like get even more creative and more original over time. What do you think? Anyone?
Yeah, so
Lindsay?
Controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of thought about this and feelings. I think there's yeah, I like AI doesn't need to be slot per se. I think there's a way you can curate it in a way where it will and can work for your brand. Maybe not all brands, but even like I work for an AI business builder platform, and even I'm fighting like for our social channels to be really human relevant and heavy where I'm like right now I'm working on a project where I'm curating a bunch of cinematic creators where that can help us tell our story in a really human unique way. So like for me I'm always an advocate for like human storytelling first, and that's where like my maybe differences are, but I also do see the benefits of like using AI in creative and like specifically for ad content. That's been really beneficial for us as a brand, and like not needing to lean heavily on design. But yeah, there's like win and loses for both.
Yeah, I noticed in your answer before, Christine, you talked about kind of using AI in videos and to sort of spin up assets faster.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like if it you can actually make it look good, I'm like, yeah, pro, all for it. But I think it does take a little bit of like reiteration and like you usually can't use it on the first pass. Like you really need to train it for it to be
Yeah,
usable.
for sure. Travis.
Yeah, so this is a conversation that definitely comes up a lot in my space. So I really like putting the onus back on the user of AI. There was somebody I was listening to on the Adam Grant Rethinking podcast that he does, and they said some sort of sentence I'm going to butcher, which was like slop existed before AI, and now AI has amplified that because it's just a reflection of humanity in a sense, and so whatever's there we'll just do more of. Um, I put the onus on if you're unhappy with the output from an AI tool, it's because you're not giving it enough input. Is typically, and I know that might sound almost like uh like an argument to what I was just saying, where I was like, oh, AI doesn't really help me with like these raw creative tasks. And it's kind of like Lindsay said though, because it's like this meme I saw. I'm gonna do like a classic social media manager here of just like, why do something in 3 hours that I could be cracked out and vibe code in 30 hours over a weekend in my basement? And so I think that you do need to do upfront work, and you do need to think more in like systems instead of tasks. And so being like, if you find yourself doing this task a lot for your job, so like for me, it's like reporting. I don't do it that often. I do it once a quarter, but now I've kind of got a foundation that I can bring back to Claude and be like, do this again. Please, because I don't like having to, scrape myself through a spreadsheet and then like connecting the dots. Um, and so as far as slop goes, um, I think true tastemakers can spot slop, whether it's made by a human or AI, from 1,000 miles away. And LinkedIn is just like a breeding ground for it because everybody speaks in corporo speak, and it's everybody's trying to sound smart and sound sophisticated and like they have frontier knowledge and that they're an authority on something. And that's fine. That's always been the case for the redheaded stepchild of social media. But I think it's also a great opportunity, like my two panelists said here, to stick out. And you have a choice to lean into more of the human side of what you post and how you write and how you phrase things. I try my darndest, and this isn't everyone's cup of tea, to uh, tiptoe the delicate balance between treating LinkedIn like a diary and treating it like a social media platform. I do try to show up as my most authentic self and post about things that are important to me, and not just talk about like, yo, here's what I built using Claude in a weekend. Like I'm also talking about like my mental health journey, my sobriety, being a dad, frustrations in my role. And I think that allows me to build trust and build an audience that's going to stick with me. And AI might help me organize my thoughts. So I will say that. Claude is good at like just like I said, using whisper flow and vomiting a bunch of stuff like I'm doing right now in this moment, and then synthesizing it and condensing it into its core one message. I will say that it does help me do that, but I uh, I will pass the baton and stop talking. So
All right. Let me ask you all. So, we're talking about areas where AI falls short now. So, where are you not incorporating AI into your process, or where are you seeing those deficits still? And bonus points, do you have any examples of like an AI fail that's happened in your workflow, something that's gone wrong?
I can go first with an AI
Okay.
fail. That's a fun one. Um, so I tried to take an image, um, and so we were at a conference, and I one of our employees was like speaking at the conference, and I wasn't able to make it to that specific talk. And I was putting together like a sizzle reel kind of like hype video, and I was like, well, let me just ask Gemini to animate this image into like 5 seconds and just like gesture and gesticulate so that it looks like I created, like I actually did capture this person speaking. It came out okay, but if you looked at it really closely, you were like, yo, this guy definitely ran this thing through Gemini. Um, and so yeah, yeah, my boss was quickly to be like, yeah, no, we can't, you're not gonna do that. So remove that part of that. And I was like, thought I was being clever and sneaky. Um, but no, I think there's still an uncanny valley. As good as some stuff is getting, it's not possible in certain situations. So yeah, trying to cut corners sometimes doesn't work.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone else got a quick one? And then we'll move on to the next part of the show.
Yeah, no, that's very relatable. I have definitely a lot of like, oh my God moments. But I think like a more common annoyance one, I guess this is relevant to anyone that does copywriting, but for me, I work really closely with our influencers. And I will get Claude to help me draft briefs. And I think a lot of the time it'll actually pull in older information, like older brand positioning, where I've told it to like, please disregard, don't remember any of this, but it still does. So it'll go back, like, for example, like couple years ago we were only known as a web AI website builder, and now we've like recently shifted to like the all-in-one business platform, but it still will revert to like, oh no, you are only an AI website builder and here's what we're going to put in the brief, and then it'll start listing features that it thinks we have but we actually don't. So I'll have it like it will hallucinate sometimes, and that's like a big annoyance in my role where yeah, like, you do have to go back and like 100% make sure you are reviewing everything it's spitting out, especially if it's going out to other people. So yeah, that like human review layer is a big non-negotiable. But that's probably
Yeah.
one thing I come across often.
Yeah, I have a quick one before we move on. This was before Lindsay was with us, so I bet she would have caught this. But for one of our earlier webinars, we used AI to kind of generate the description, and AI is really bad at dates. It always forgets like what the calendar year is. So we created all of these materials that was like Wednesday the 24th, but the webinar was actually on Wednesday the 25th or something. And we sent it out before we realized that we had the date wrong on everything. So always double check your dates with AI. Okay, so real quickly, I would like to take you through Rebrandly's tools for social marketers. So a lot of what we've talked about, I think, comes down to workflow. And one piece of the social media workflow that I think gets overlooked a lot is your links. We all need them, and a lot of people don't really think about them really hard, but I want to show you three AI-driven features that Rebrandly has really quickly. So the first one is AI metadata generation. So typically when you share a link, the titles and description are just pulled from the page's metadata, which is usually written for SEO, not to actually entice people to click that link. So Rebrandly has a feature where you can edit the metadata. And most other link shorteners do not have this, by the way. So you can rewrite the metadata to something more appealing. But what's even better is you can click this little star thing next to it, and we can AI generate metadata for you, which is great if you're posting a whole bunch of links and you don't want to go rewrite this all manually. But you can still edit the suggestions before publishing, so you stay in control of how your link appears. The second one, which is my favorite one, is our AI scheduling suggestions. So Rebrandly analyzes click data across millions of active links because we have that data. And we basically surface the time when your audience is most likely to actually click a link. So instead of guessing what time to post or just using like generic industry benchmarks, you can get actual data based on the location where you are. So that is a really useful little feature just to get the most out of posting your links. Lastly, we have an MCP. So the MCP integration lets you manage links directly through your AI assistant, so like Claude, without leaving the tool. So in practice, this means you can create, update, and organize your links through a simple conversation instead of having to click into another tool and context switch. So it's really useful for social media teams because you can just share your post and it will generate a link instantly. It's also really great for bulk operations like updating link destinations across a campaign, which would take a long time to do manually. So just a really quick little integration into your Claude. Okay, now it's time for some Q&A. And I have a question here in the chat. If anyone else has any, feel free to add them. So this anonymous attendee asked, do you worry about privacy or protecting proprietary information and creative ideas when using AI?
Yes.
Lindsay, yes.
It is a constant concern. Like, even I have been so hesitant with using Claude Cowork, especially because I work for a mental health company as well. And I would say, like, it's just such a different sentiment depending on the industry because even folks, like, audience-wise, might be more sensitive to saying like, is this AI, or like if they'll flag like a visual or anything like that. So I feel like you do kind of have to be a bit sensitive about it. And yeah, there's a lot that I don't run through and I still just keep it manual. And I try to focus on like the data pieces as far as like using AI, like recently I just like scraped our review sites and like pulled a bunch of pain points and then I can create content around that. Like that's amazing for being able to like speed up that process of like, okay, what are people talking about and how can I create content quickly? But as far as like, yeah, privacy, like that's a real concern. And we're also training. Like there's just so many like nuanced pieces that I feel like are a little bit hard to sit with sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, here's another question. What is one thing you wish AI could do for your social media workflows that it can't yet?
This is such a fun question. Yeah, man.
Nobody's got any good ideas here.
Yeah,
I
I think it's tough because it's almost like at a point it's like, okay, like I don't want it to ever get to a point where it will
Yeah.
be released, like replacing us. And I don't think
Yeah.
it will be because like I think the common theme across our conversation today has been like you still need that human touch and like that input and that oversight. But I don't know. I'd like what would it be? Like maybe the communication and making like senior leadership understand what the heck I'm doing on a daily.
Oh my God, I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's
Yes,
crazy.
Like a daily update.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, let me ask you this then. How do you see your role evolving in this new media landscape? Like, what do you think is the future of social media marketing in terms of AI specifically? Big question.
I've seen this conversation happening like across multiple platforms amongst social media managers, and I agree with it in a sense where people are having a conversation where taste and intuition are going to be a lot more valuable than like it's always been a valuable thing to have as a social media marketer, but it's even more valuable now in this age where like anyone can like be a marketer or like yeah, they you can be like a one person growth marketer team, but like when you really come down to things, I think that's like taste and intuition is something that happens over time and you grow into and as you work more in this industry, and it's something that will be very valuable as AI continues to replace different parts of our role.
Yeah, I feel that sentiment as well. I think like what's most compelling to me, even just as I'm consuming content, is that human first angle, or I can tell just how much more interesting it is when a brand is standing out and they're like not using AI. And I can kind of tell like as at least like I'm sure they're using AI for many different things, but as far as just like those raw ideas or those like very strange like um concepts, like I think that that is so interesting. And even just like the trend of analog, like I feel like audiences are craving just that human first perspective. So I do foresee like with the amount of AI slop, for lack of a better word, or just like just the amount of content that we have to consume in general. Like, I think what is going to stand out and what is going to be like a valuable skill is being able to like hone that human first perspective.
Yeah, I generally agree. In the sphere of content marketing as a whole, I think storytelling is becoming the buzzword for sure, but also very, very important.
Yes. So one other thing that I wanted to mention too was, do you mind if I share screen again real quick, Stephanie?
Sure.
This was something that our team, I can't take credit for it. I did not vibe code this, but our team did over at AirOps, but basically like an employee engagement tool that tracks, monitors, ranks, and does a lot more with what employees within your organization are doing with their LinkedIn, their personal LinkedIn account. So like for example, we've got like a dashboard, a leaderboard. You can obviously see your boys at the top here. Hopefully that'll stay that way, but like my good friend Ben is coming in hot. So ways where we can do a bit more internal activation and um, in a way where I'm not just begging for likes. And so what I want to do is like a next step to what I was just showing you is building out a paid component to this and paying our employees to use their social networks to improve AirOps and the reach that we're able to get. And so I'm in the process of seeing that, but if somebody had a tool that was like, hey, actually, we have like I know that some tools do, like I know Sprout Social has one, not to poo-poo on it. It's been a couple years, but I wasn't like super stoked about it. I just didn't see it accomplishing what I needed it to. And I think the payment component is something that I just dreamed up of. But basically, like for, every post they put out, they get a dollar amount. For every, number of reactions they get, comments, shares, it's all point based, and then I'm able to pay them out at the end of every week. I think that there's just something uh, to help incentivize internal engagement. Um, and not everybody likes to post on social, so this will be a good way for those who do to kind of get that external motivator.
That's great.
Cool.
All right. Well, we're out of time. I do want to be respectful of people's times, but do any of you have any last thoughts you want to share on the subject? Great. Well, thank you so much. This was exactly the kind of honest conversation I was hoping for. So we will send this recording out to everyone who registered. Here are the companies that our illustrious panelists work for. If you want to reach them, you can just scan that QR code on your screen. And of course, if you want to test out Rebrandly, you can get started for free at rebrandly.com. So thank you all so much and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Stephanie, for hosting. Bye, everyone.
Bye.